So, yesterday, someone asked about free will and what's the opposite of free will? Predestined. In all my life, I have to say, I have been, well, of course, never thoroughly, but that is with a Buddhist text also. But I have to say, to really sort this problem of free will, predestined, fatalism, luck. There is no philosophy or a theory I have so far found that is better than, well, generally Buddhism, and especially, like Abhidharma. I've even actually listened to a lot of discussions in the podcasts and, like panel discussions regarding this, because I was and I think it's very, very related to the aspiration. So I'm going to dwell on this a little bit. Because when we talk about aspiration, as I said yesterday, of course, you're always talking about something to do with the future, isn't it? May I be this, may they be this and that. And actually, we stopped talking about bird's eye view. And remember, we stopped at the point where we were aspiring to remember the lives. Basically, actually, Doak into Chewa temperature, like not only remembering the past lives, but just seeing the whole life, even the future ones. Kind of quite, what do you call it? You have to sort of make some prep, you have to get used to the logic a little bit with this one. And I want to dwell on this a little bit because the main ingredient of the Pranidhana Raja prayer is, of course, bodhicitta. The name of the name of this aspiration is part of the name is Arya Pranidhana Raja. Arya means a sublime sort of sublime, something that is not ordinary. This name usually is given to like Arya Tara, Arya Manjushri, someone who has transcended all the mundane. But the text is also called Arya. So there is a reason for that, and that reason is because it contains the bodhicitta. So it is entitled to have the name Arya. It is because of that, also towards the end, the prayer itself, it's because of that. Even if you don't read it, if you just keep that text on the shrine and revere this, you have so much merit. Okay, going back to the question, free will and predestined and all that. You see, I think I'm going to just explain this a little bit, because whenever Buddhists talk about karma, they seem to always fall into two traps. Sometimes there's, oh, it's my karma, what to do? See, fatalist, predestined. Other times there's, oh, you should create good karma so that you will become this and that. So free will. So now the question is, which is the right one? Both are actually wrong. And this is important that you know this. And this is very related to bodhicitta, so I need to really carefully construct this one. And also I should say, this is what makes Buddhism so unique. But not that easy to understand this. I have got into trouble by teasing a monk in Thailand. Because in the Theravada tradition, they teach things like, they teach anicca, dukkha, anatta. Anatta means selfless. And selfless is this is the cream of the cream. If the teaching of the selflessness is not taught, the anicca and dukkha, that's a very pessimist and very doomsday teaching. You understand? Everything is impermanent, nothing gives you satisfaction. Who like to hear that? So anatta is like really the most important, even in the Sarvakayana level. So there was this monk, I love always offer these alms. Monks go, in the Theravada countries, they go begging. And that's the most, I don't know, for me, it's like the most inspiring, one of the most inspiring sight. It's about 25 years ago, actually, an American ambassador was I think he was a Buddhist for Thailand. Because I went to the embassy to get my visa. And there's a long line, so I get up so early to line up. And usually the monks go begging, early in the morning, like really early, like 6, like sunrise. And I was already there, and there was already few people lined up. The embassy only opened something like 9. And then suddenly there was some commotion. And then I see from one side, there's about 20 monks with a begging bowl, just very silently, that's what they do, silently, bare feet walking towards the embassy. And suddenly the embassy gate opens with this incredible looking American Navy guard just opening the door, and the ambassador comes with all the offerings. Anyway, this is just a sidetrack. So anyway, I do this, this is such a beautiful sight. But, as always, I'm always trying to, tease people or stir people. And in Thailand and Burma, Sri Lanka, you would notice the lay people, farmers, the vendor sellers. There's even a dedicated shop, a monk's arm shop, where you can actually buy packages, full offering, half offering, just a symbolic offering. You can. And very ordinary poor people also, they offer a little bit of rice, and the monks will chant this very, very important sort of script, the part of the Buddhist script. Anyway, usually the monks don't talk. But one day, this monk and I offered whatever, I had few fruits, and he knew I was not native, so he spoke in English. So that, repeated next day, and, he began to know that I'm there. And then, this act is considered very meritorious, so people do this diligently. So I asked him, he doesn't know I'm a Buddhist. I sort of pretended I'm. So I asked him, well, if the anatta is truth, that there is no self, that means yourself is not there, myself is not there. So who is accumulating the merit? What is merit? Who is gaining the merit? Well, that is sort of the end of our friendship. Anyway, So I want to, this is a kind of important. So I know some of you are quite jaded with this example, I'd say, I have been telling, but for the sake of the new people, you need to bear this. Now, if you are having a nightmare of falling from a cliff, there is the whole act of the beginning of the fall and the duration, the middle of the fall, and perhaps, breaking your hips or whatever. And you'll be scared, you'll be panicked, all of that. And those cannot be denied. And this period of falling till you are, landed on the ground, in this period, you can talk about karma. Bad karma, good karma, just generally karma. In reality, though, you are just sleeping in your bed. You are not falling. So there is no beginning of the falling, the middle of the falling, and the end of the falling too. So can you see the not falling, in the reality of not falling and the illusion of falling can be together? So this is why, to us a Buddhist, regarding whether everything is a free will or, if you believe in free will, then you are actually basically saying the fall in the dream is not a dream, it's a real falling. Or if you believe in predestined, same thing. Yeah, so this is a little difficult. I think it will take some time to get used to this logic. Anyway, short answer for this is Buddhist karma is neither free will nor predestined. Sometimes it appears to have free will, other times it appears to be already fixed. Okay, I want to further go deeper into this now. Okay, now this approach is perhaps very Indian, although even the Western philosophy, even science, perhaps even though they may not package it this way, actually, I think it falls into this sort of category of, construction. Okay, now of course we need to know that, like science is, they've never really come to conclusion, which is one of the great thing about science. Okay, so keep that in your head. So that's quite good. They say, we are experimenting still. So far, it's like this. So far, Panadol seems to work, but who knows? Maybe it's going to harm us. Like that. It's always we are under experiment. Statement like this, people like Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, the great philosophers in Buddhism, they like this. No argument with that one. Now, but then, habitually, okay, first let me present this one. The unique Indian way of constructing a theory. I'm sorry, these are a little bit too technical for the new ones, but you sort of have to bear with this because we are, after all, discussing quite an important text, and I don't want to sort of wash it down and to something very, very simple. May all be happy, may all be not, free from unhappiness. It's much more than that. So remember earlier I talked about this dream analogy, and this analogy demonstrates the Indian way of constructing a theory. As I give you the example, I'm talking about two things, ultimate and relative. Ultimately, you are not falling, but relatively, you are falling. Now, this ultimate and relative, they are also not like one is in the east and one is in the west. they're kind of, they are one. But also you can't really say they're one because you are actually not falling, but you appear to be falling also, right? So for instance, if a scientist say about Big Bang, let's just talk about this Big Bang because perhaps it's easier for the, new people to relate. If the scientists say Big Bang exists, if a scientist present Big Bang theory on the relative level, no problem at all with the Buddhists, no problem. But if a scientist sort of develop the theory of Big Bang, ultimate level, then the Buddhists will think that Big Bang and the Almighty God has no difference. They're all wrong. This is, you'll get used to you have to get used to this way of thinking, I guess. Again, I know nothing about Taoist teachings, but as I read some of the stanzas from the beginning, you can feel that they also think very similar. Like name that can be given is not a name. You are almost talking like the ultimate. But then comes all these names. So, like a relative. So now your question, okay, let's go back to the bird's eye view. So what is this bird's eye view? What we are praying is, when we fall, remember, we dream, we have a nightmare, we are falling now. We are aspiring that at the least, we are aspiring, may we know that we are dreaming. Because when you know that, then the beginning of the fall, the middle of the fall, all of this, you see it with the bird's eye view. What does that do? Oh, it does a lot of things, because if you know really that you are dreaming, you might just, let's just pause for a moment and let's just explore the, if you are, falling from a building, you might want to just take this advantage of looking through the windows of other people, because you're not going to break any limbs anyway. So see, this combination of this, what we call understanding the non-duality, is like the key of the aspiration, which in other words, the bodhicitta. And in order to remember this, we have aspiration to always have revulsion towards the worldly life. Okay, what is a revulsion towards worldly life? Of course, very, very, in a very general level, like getting addiction towards social media, carpets, tables, stuff like that. But most important level of revulsion, you are falling now again. Going back to the dream. As you fall, you are falling from the building, from the 26th floor. And by the 20th floor, where your friend is staying, and you pass your friend who's just smoking on the balcony. If you scream, "Hey, I'm falling!" that's you are fall. that's like, not being able to, have the revulsion towards mundane life, because you are really screaming, "Help!" That's easy to understand. But if your friend says, "Hey, what are you doing?" If you say, "Well, nothing actually, I'm not really falling, you should try," that also is a falling to the revulsion. Because you are denying either relative truth or ultimate truth. This is such a big thing for Buddhists, not to be extreme. If you become, they use the word like you become nihilist or you become eternalist. So here in this sentence, When we say, may I always have this renunciation mind. Yes, carpets, gold ring, whatever, of course the renunciation, but may I also have a renunciation, revulsion towards all values, liberal values, fascist values, I don't know, just all values. That's a difficult, much more difficult than carpet, I'm telling you. Because your value is your character. Character is so important. Like, yeah. Identity, these are, values. So may I always be able to renounce all my identity, values. That's what. And maybe may I always be able to keep my ethics, discipline. Wow, that's a big subject. And I'm also wondering whether the English word ethic is actually doing the justice, translating the word shila or the tsutim, we call it tsultim. The Tibetan word tsul is something to do with the way, the truth. Water is wet. That is the truth. That is the way of the water. Outside is cold. If I pour this over me during the break, it's not really good idea. If I'm going out, or even now, it's not a good idea. That's it. That is the core meaning of the Buddhist ethic. Anything that you go against the truth, that will only bring you misery, problems, disappointment. Of course, may I always be, may I always be diligent in, not killing, not lying, not slandering, not, all of that. Of course, that's on the relative level. It's, you need, that's, but like just ethic, like especially in the Mahayana, ethic comes in sort of three categories. Not harming others, like killing, stealing, helping others, ethic of helping others, like, I don't know, food, medicine, shelter, information. Now the third one, this is a very, very unique for the bodhisattvas. I mean, generally Buddhists, but especially bodhisattvas. Ethic of helping others. I mean, not harming. Not harming others. Wait. Yeah. Not engaging into non-virtue. Yeah, sorry. I take back all the. Not engaging into non-virtue action. Yeah, that's one of the ethic. Like not killing, not stealing. The second is engaging into virtuous action, such as giving, medicine, whatever. The third ethic is helping others. Now, this is complicated. But if by you killing somebody, if it helps a lot of people, what do you do then? You see? So there's a lot of that category. Big study on that one. Or by you lying to somebody or something, and you are saving lots of beings and planets, what then? What should Bodhisattva choose? But of course, there's also the danger of you interpreting yourself that this will help, but that could be just your interpretation. So anyway, may I always manage to maintain my ethic. Oh, by the way, these are all the aspiration so that you will keep your bodhicitta intact. What does that mean? Going back to our example, so that your understanding and experience of falling and not falling together, this knowing this is intact. And okay, the next one is in order to enhance this bodhicitta, keep this bodhicitta, may I utter the teachings of the Buddha in different language. Yeah, that's a big one for the bodhisattvas. Not just to human beings, to the gods, to the insects, have the aspiration to teach to just every beings in different language. Among many other, of course, of course, you understand. It's a virtuous action. It's a virtuous deed to share Dharma to ordinary people. Of course, you understand that. But I think it's much more than that. When you try to explain this, the whole, the bodhicitta, for instance, Mahayana teachings, not only when we say different language, we are not only talking as the language as in, Chinese, English, but just different, way of communicating. Because for each beings have a different values, different thinking. How would you teach this ancient Mexican Mayans who, they have this game, they play this game, and the winner gets the honor of having his head being chopped.
像是你要怎么
How do you talk to them? You need a different language. Communication is difficult, right? Okay. Then also when we talk about the aspiration to utter the aspiration to teach to different beings with a different language, we are aspiring to share the information of 6 paramitas. And for the person who is doing the aspiration, it helps to strengthen this ability to remember the bodhicitta or the teachings. Okay. Next, aspiring to purify all the non-virtuous actions, non-virtuous deeds and its impact. This is again very big subject. Virtue and non-virtue. What makes something non-virtuous? I think the easiest way for you to understand is anything that takes you further from the truth, such as anatta. So, for instance, like harming others. Usually we harm others because we have self-cherishing or clinging to oneself. And clinging to the self definitely is one of the key, actually the key cause to distract you from the truth. And then also having aspiration to purify obscurations. Okay, this is again a very big subject when we talk about obscurations. Usually, the obscurations are sort of the impact or the result of the negative deeds, actions. But they can also, in turn, become the cause of the negative actions. So many different obscurations, but let's discuss just three, for instance, wrong view, pride, and doubt.
Sorry, what's the second one?
Wrong view, pride, and doubt. These three sort of stands out among many other, many obscurations. These three, sometimes even jealousy. These are some of the most difficult to challenge. Okay, pride. Pride is actually opposite of confidence in this case we are talking about. And also, when we talk about pride, you are always referring to someone else. You are always comparing with someone else. Confidence is not necessarily referring to someone. Like, I'm a human, but I'm much better than so-and-so. That's more like a pride. This is very, very general level. I think when we talk about pride, that's what we are talking. But from Mahayana's point of view, there's a much more subtle pride. Even for the time being, it's necessary, but you also need to know, even you aspiring for enlightenment can be a pride. But some of this pride, we need it as a fertilizer. Just all duality is a pride. We are talking on a very, very high level. Basically, you can also say pride is the big ingredient, big part of the pride is also insecurity. Also, something to do with you haven't made up your mind. That element is there. You haven't come to a conclusion, but you are pretending that you have come to a conclusion. That is what pride is usually. Insecurity, basically. So, okay, so that's pride. And it is too many information, but for now, pride. And then doubt. Now, this is a challenging obscuration because it's also it can be a necessary tool. Even the Buddha himself said, you should analyze my teachings. You should not take things for granted, so on and so forth. So doubt can be a big part of the path. It is kind of helpful. But if you give in too much to the doubt, and if you put too much emphasis on doubt, like critical thinking, this is something that we modern people cherish, then it does not again lead you anywhere. And it gets worse by combining with the pride. So a lot of so-called critical thinking analytical thinking, critical thinking. I don't know, lot of people who think that that's who they are. They usually have a pride, meaning they already have a conclusion. Or, I mean, they pretend. I don't know. Well, they think they have they are very sure that they have a conclusion. So basically what I'm saying is it never becomes a proper critical thinking because you already have decided. You are only trying to find a fault, so to speak. Yeah, this is one obscuration because this kind of thinking will never, Anyway, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. What really stops you from going out of the box? These three. Let's say you are an artist. You want to go out of the box. What stops you? Pride, doubt, and wrong view. Because of your pride, you will always want to be, I don't know, accepted also. It's complicated. These three are very complicated emotion or that's why it's called obscuration. Dipa, non-virtue, or akushala, non-virtue, sin, I guess, for the, and dipa is obscuration, because it makes things unnecessarily so complicated. Okay, the worst one is the lokta, wrong view. That's, doubt, pride, it still does not, it's a bit like, what do you call it? This is the classic example. It's a bit like strong wind. Let's say if you are planting a flower, like a typhoon or big wind may unsettle the growth of the flower. But the wrong view, that is like burning the seed of the flower, no more flower. Now, the wrong view, this is big. And this, we may think, oh, that, it shouldn't really happen to me, but it's not true. It happens so easily. I mean, for now, we can only, for the Buddhists, practitioners, followers, we can sort of suffice by thinking, oh, I believe in karma, I believe in cause and condition and effect. I don't really believe that there's somebody who creates everything. That much kind of a right view we have. But not being able to really accept the whole shunyata, it proves that there is lots and lots of wrong view in us. Yeah, and this really happens a lot. And it's a difficult one. Anyway, for the Mahayana, the answer is not having conviction towards a dualistic view. That's a wrong view.
Having conviction to
the wrong view, such dualistic view. And I'll underline the word conviction. When I say conviction, we all have dualistic habit, of course, but not necessarily wrong view. It's just your habit. But through study, through analysis, through hearing and contemplation, and you still think something is permanent, something truly exists, then seed is burnt. Falling into extreme, we call it. Okay, then aspiration to be free from karma, emotion, and well, do kind of Mara demon, I guess you can call it. Of course, we are not talking about some externally existing demon. I think this is going to elaborate later, so I'm going to continue with the stanza. Anyway, the aspiration is divided into two. These aspirations are mainly for the bodhisattva of the beginning level. Okay, then aspiring to perfect what we call Buddha field. Shinjong. Perfecting the Buddha field is very, this is something you will find in the Mahayana Sutras. Basically, having aspiration that you will have your own Buddha field where other sentient beings can have aspirations to go or to be reborn. Those who like Chinese, you will know the whole phenomena about Pure Land. In fact, like in Japan and China, I think, and Korea also, it even became almost like a tradition, a school. They even call it Pure Land School. So I went to the head of the Pure Land School, the monastery in China a few years ago. As I enter, they were giving us pamphlets because for all the tourists you get the pamphlets that has the explanation. It says Amitabha, something Amitabha, and anyway, Buddhist heaven. I guess you remember earlier we talked about how you have to learn to communicate to different beings with a different language. I guess even though the word heaven sort of annoyed me, I thought, yeah, why not? But then as I went in, the temple itself is one of the most beautiful temple. It's so beautiful. And then all these Chinese characters, they have these characters written, the ancient sort of calligraphy. And I have quite a good translator with me. So I've made him translate quite a lot of them, like read on the spot. And I was thinking, like, if only they just translate some of these and put it on the brochure. But I understand because some of the contents of the Pure Land is maybe not that easy to digest for people. Anyway, since this is kind of remember it is mentioned again and again several times that those whoever does this, they will enter into the land of the Amitabha. Migrating is such a thing for sentient beings. You can just see it if you go walk around in Robson Street. This is one of the human beings sort of, Buddhists call it klesha. It's like an emotion, right? Grass is always greener on the other side. It just exists from the, from the dualism started, going somewhere, a better place, like the Wild West, land of dream, whatever, but of course, for different people, there are different, what is it? Land. For good Jeff, he had a different land. For I've said this actually to some people, and I want to mention this here. This is how the Mahayana's Pure Land works. I will give you an example. Usually, when you go somewhere, there's always an aim. I don't know, for a job interview or to pick up some package or to see a museum or something like this, or to meet your uncle, I don't know, like always, or to actually settle there. Okay, I'm talking kind of a very profound level, so be prepared. And I'm just giving you some sort of the atmosphere of the, when they talk about pure, sort of the ingredient, one of the ingredient, atmosphere. After this session, if you just walk on whatever the road and just go, doesn't matter where you reach, you have nothing to do, there is no place to reach. If you have to have an object, an aim, maybe how about North Vancouver, just to blow your nose. Upon reaching there, blow nose and come back. I bet you this will be the most blissful trip. Because, blowing nose is not that a big deal, right? Upon reaching there, you can really blow it ceremoniously if you want. And actually, if you really want to do it kind of, with a proper ritual, maybe not today, but tomorrow, let's say, get up tomorrow in the morning and put on your best dress, as if you are going for the most important job interview. Iron your napkins. This is in preparation for the, blowing nose. Make really big fuss about this, ironing. Yeah, then just, I don't know, go take taxi or walk, take boat. And of course, for the benefit of all sentient beings, of course. And you reach there, North Vancouver, place where you will place where you will forever depart from your snot. I'm giving you, this is actually really, even though I'm trying to make it a little like this, watered down, but this is actually the very important aspect of the pure realm. But I understand, because many people, when they read the pure realm description, they get distracted by this birds that speaks, swimming pool. Oh, the very important pure realm description. Like if the ground is supposedly, like if you press, it sinks, and if you let go, it comes up, like a sofa seat. Many of these prayers were written several hundred years ago, when only very, very, very small amount of people can afford sofa seat. And just imagine if all the birds start to talk. I don't think you will have a much of a good day. But please, read the Amitabha Pure Land, sutra. It's just so beautiful. But you have to think this context. It's so beautiful, actually. There's even a mention, if you do doubt about a pure realm, there's a degree of doubt, right? A little doubt about the pure realm. You may reborn in the Amitabha realm, in the lotus. Usually they are always reborn in the lotus, but the lotus will not blossom right away. Yeah, these descriptions are just so profound. It's just, you need to communicate with ordinary people. So that's how they communicate. And so anyway, there's that aspiration. May I perfect the Buddha realm. Yeah. So when I say may I perfect the Buddha realm, just think about the blowing nose. Then probably it will make a little sense. Of course, you can still think about talking birds, swimming pool, all of that. Yeah, whatever beautiful things, trees, the mountains, the lake, and the turquoise, all of that. Okay, then now may I always wear the armor. May I always wear armor, the armor of entering into the Mahayana path. Armor of never giving up, accumulation of merit and accumulation of wisdom. Armor of never stopping to liberate sentient beings. Okay, so anyway, the word armor is sort of symbolic, but really talking about not feeling exhausted or losing inspiration, not to become lethargic, not to become discouraged. The reason why we get discouraged is because we are not well versed, or we are not we don't have enough understanding of wisdom and method, for instance. Okay, so there's many examples given. For instance, when a bodhisattva got so exhausted and discouraged because it's taking so long, Buddha giving encouragement by saying that the time is totally an illusion, that a bodhisattva must benefit sentient beings just like how a mother who has one child dreams that the child is drowning in a river. Mother will not think twice, but immediately jump in the river to save. But with a bodhisattva, one who is adorned with the wisdom will also know that this is just a dream. Yeah. So these are the sort of few of the reasons talking about armor that a bodhisattva must wear. Maybe we can now, you can ask some questions. I believe there's many questions, online questions or something like that. And then later I will continue this afternoon.
Shall we start with an online question?
Yes,
Do
please.
you want to have in-house as well, or just online?
Online.
The first question is, what is the last thought we should aspire to at the moment we die as a Mahayana Buddhist?
There's many, but I think one of them is actually what we just spoke, entering into the Buddha field. That could mean really thinking about the Amitabha Buddha and Amitabha Buddha realm and have the aspiration to be reborn there at all costs for the benefit of all sentient beings. On the more profound level, realizing that the Amitabha Buddha realm is not somewhere out there, but it here, this moment, this very place. Yeah. Do you want to ask the question?
So the question is, in different Buddhist sutras, there are practices about aspiring to enter the pure land, but in the sutras, it also says that we should abolish all dualism. So how should we treat whether there is pure land or not, and how should we look at it?
Yeah. As I said, the dream, during the dream, remember, there's the beginning, and all of that, yet it's not there, it's there. So this juggle, this understanding of this relative truth and ultimate truth, if you can accept that, then all this works. Otherwise, yes, it sounds like there's a just continuous contradiction all the time. As I asked to that monk, Anatta, why do we offer alms?
Okay, we have a question from a philosopher in Germany. The pride, doubts, and wrong views you criticize seem to be similar to dualism, criticism, and conception, which are, however, fundamental aspects of philosophical work. Does that mean I have to give up philosophy in order to be a true Buddhist?
Yes. But you will also have to give up being Buddhist later, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, again, one more.
Rinpoche spoke yesterday about renunciation, how to practice renunciation without falling into nihilism.
Okay, I will go back to my example of dream. Here, you need to know the real renunciation is really knowing that when you fall, you are actually not falling. That's why I said, when you fall, if you scream, you are falling into scream and not knowing that this is a dream. That is nihilism. Yes.
When you make an aspiration, are you in essence aspiring to change or to accept?
I think both. Accepting the true Buddha, your Buddha nature, and changing in the context of undoing the cocoon that is wrapping your Buddha nature.
Rinpoche, thank you for your beautiful teachings. From my perception, my karmic perception, when I hear you, for me it's always like in one sentence, yes and no, and in the same time it's not contradictory. And my question is about renunciation and discipline. You said renunciation mean renouncing all the views, but discipline, there is a view, there is a morality. So how in the same time actually renounce on the view and follow the morality?
Okay. I'm glad that you guys are asking this. It's just as how I tease that monk. This is what you need to get used to with the Mahayana concept of relative truth and ultimate truth. I think what you need to know is this. Until you know you are dreaming, you will always be panicked. It doesn't matter. You are peacefully sleeping on your bed, but you will still be in panic. As long as you have panic, path is valid. As long as you are dreaming, somebody sort of, waking you up is valid. In reality, somebody waking you up is not helping you at all in getting rid of this real problem, because there was never a real problem. Okay? Yeah?
Thank you for your teaching, Rinpoche. You mentioned being an artist, and I was thinking, as an artist, when you go to your work, you would want to bring right view. And I was thinking about the Buddhist idea that you have the highest view, high as the sky, but fine as sampa flower, your actions. But if, hypothetically, Allen Ginsberg, if you were still alive today, were to ask you, when I go to my writing desk, what should I do when I sit down, other than right view? Would there be, when I start to write, during writing, and when I end my writing session? Thank you.
Okay. Again, very connected to, relative bodhicitta, remember, I think we talked yesterday, it doesn't matter what you do, whatever you do, even mundane things like waking up in the morning, may it somehow lead me to awaken myself and others. I think that is the fundamental and the easiest. I think right now, because I'm just giving you a sort of a summary of this chapter, which really has everything there, so maybe it's confusing you people a little bit. This is very big. It's a very profound level. Yes, in one sense, it talks about no time. If no time, how does the aspiration work? As I said right at the beginning today, aspiration always has something to do with in the future. Yeah, but time and again in these stanzas, this is dealt with. For instance, it says, you should prostrate to the Buddhas of the future now. How do you do that? I'm here and they're about to come in the future. How do I do that? These are Mahayana's incredible method of trying to really, basically, trying to stir our normal way of thinking. Okay? Yeah?
Hello, Rinpoche. For the past few years, one thought that's become really prominent in my mind is that free will is an illusion. And whenever I start thinking in terms of absolute reality, my mind seems to naturally gravitate towards nihilism. And I've been cautioned, or in the teachings I've heard many cautions against nihilism, but from my perspective, nihilism is not untrue. And if it's not untrue, can it be used as a valid tool in my spiritual process?
Actually, nihilism as a habit, we all have. That's why we get depressed, for instance. Also, we are also, by habit, eternalist. That's why we also get ridiculously hopeful. So that's always there. What you don't want is a nihilism as a result of, classic Mahayana languages, result of an analysis. Because if you analyze, is it, through your logic, through, scientific tool, and then come to a conclusion nothing exists. That is dangerous. Yeah, again, going back to the dream example, when you fall, you will be afraid, even though in reality you are not falling. We always go back to that. Now, the thing is this, the interesting thing is, if you analyze, let's say, then if your analysis is good, then you may say, oh, I'm just dreaming. You just, that's good. But let's say, by analyzing, and you come to a conclusion that I'm trying to remember the Nagarjuna's, Chandrakirti's words, but okay, so if you say that you have never dreamt, you never had that nightmare, then that's a nihilism. No, you are sweating, you screamed, you were like shouting, Okay, yeah.
Okay, Rinpoche mentioned that jealousy is also a great obstacle for practitioners. I feel like jealousy is subtle, and difficult to overcome. Rinpoche, what is the best way to overcome jealousy?
Very easy, easy sort of answer, just because it's a very big question. I don't have time to talk about this too much. But there is a practice called 7-limb practice, and one of them is actually designed to counter the jealousy. It's the rejoice. Yeah, jealousy is a problem. They say that, some of the commentators say there are two loser emotion. And among these two, this jealousy is even more of a loser. Anyway, pride being the other one. Jealousy, yes, is a real loser, because at least, passion, you get things done. And with aggression also you get things done. And with ignorance you get storms. And it's kind of nice. But what to do with this jealousy is like baseless, totally. And most of the time it's like a story inside you. But actually, if you want to topple, okay, one example. This, I think, comes from Milarepa. If you want to tackle jealousy, you should have a economy embargo. No, Milarepa didn't say this. I'm interpreting his words. Jealousy gets fed by pride. So watch the pride, and then jealousy gets unsettled. I know how to do with the pride. We can talk later. It's too much, too long.
Thank you for coming to Vancouver. I'm a big fan of your books, and I remember that you used the metaphor of onions, like a Buddhism teaching is like different layers of onion. And so I really enjoy readings and reading about Buddhism, but each onion I read, I kind of lose face of the previous onion, previous layers. But I also feel like I'm lacking practice. So it's like, each layer, the more I read, but also lacking of practice, I don't know which onion should I pick and really sit with it and really do the work.
I think I will let you keep this problem.
Hi, Rinpoche. Thanks for your teaching. I guess my question has been brought up, or similar questions have been brought up. We've been talking about aspiration, and usually it goes, may I, something, something. So it sounds to me like I am in pursuit of something or trying to do something. And you were also talking about the idea of selfless. So I guess my question is, if there's not a self, then who
Yes, me and my
trying
monk.
to- Yeah,
You are talking
exactly.
about yes, I understand.
And
So
also-
just remember, we are talking aspiration from the beginning of the dream till the end of the dream. Other than that, there's no aspiration.
And I guess, sorry.
And which will come this afternoon. Remember, it says it ends with, the Buddhist result. The aim of Buddhism is beyond aspiration.
Is it sort of like someone else asked ask the question, if like about discipline and, but at the same time you said maybe we should let go of like.
I didn't hear that one.
Is it similar to someone else asked a question earlier about discipline, and then also how you said we should let go of like
Yes.
firm grips on ideas? So is it sort of like until we see the, I guess you could call it the fundamental truth, there needs to be a path, and all these things are
Yes.
a path.
Everything from the beginning of the dream till the end. Practice, discipline, generosity, prayers, everything exists there.
And that's why you said to the German philosopher, like, in the end, you have to give up being a Buddhist
Yes.
anyway. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay?
Hi, Rinpoche. I think one of your superpower is you're really good at making analogies. So I remember you mentioned nowadays mindfulness is a bit like diluted chai. Chai used to have this beautiful connotation, the smell of the train, the clay pot, the sugar, and the heart. So for someone or for people who aspire to make effective and memorable analogies, do you have any tips and tricks, mental model, app recommendation, things like
For
that?
someone who,
Aspire to make effective and memorable analogies.
that's what the aspiration was doing, you know, like, may I be able to talk to people with different language, to different people. I think that's why we do this. Basically, may I
What's your tips and tricks to deliberately practice this ability?
This is the trick, aspiring. Aspiring, I think. I think it really does. Best trick. Okay?
What do you think is the most important thing about an intimate relationship from a Buddhist perspective?
Buddhists don't really care so much about what you eat, what you drink, how you eat, how you drink, and also in the intimate relationship falls, and in this kind of department, I think. If if you don't do it properly, you know, even I don't know, even vegan chai might be troublesome. You know, the vegan cappuccino drinkers, they're the worst sometimes. They're like the, I don't know, like a vegetarian terrorist. There's a really good French film called Delicatessen.
有一
It's
部很
really good.
Rinpoche, my question is about the climate emergency and just the way the world is going generally. And years ago, I heard you say that we should make aspirations, that, you know, if we're worried about the climate emergency, all that this would help a lot. But I guess I still have some doubts because, I don't know.
What is my thought about how the world is going? Is that?
No, I mean, from my point of view, maybe there really isn't any future. So what aspiration am
I
I
see.
making in that case?
No, you are, if you have taken the Bodhisattva vow, which if you haven't and if you want to, we are doing it this afternoon. After, yeah. Okay, the world will end, this world will end, but so what? I'm not going to give this up. That's the attitude. But frankly, no. Do you know, there's so many different things that's happening in the world. Some are really good. Just a few days ago, I downloaded the collection of works of great Longchenpa in like 2 minutes. That is so good. Yeah, I know, but what do you mean?
That one.
There's too many information, right? So we get stirred a bit. This is just me personally sharing you just what I do. You should listen to some of the most ridiculous, what do you call it,
Podcast?
vlogs and video vlogs, ridiculous ones, really helpful. Because then you should think they're all same, like they're all just. But yes, actually, so I appreciate, that feels really sort of very volatile, and which is in a way volatile. But Mahayana, especially Tantrikas, if it is volatile, this is a really good chance to reap the profit too. Okay, we may be only able to do one question, and then we take lunch. Can I? Okay, this, and then we finish here. Okay.
Rinpoche, I woke up this morning at 4 o'clock. I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning, wide awake, so stimulated from yesterday's teachings, and also from this memory that was evoked, which is probably like more than 40 years old. I spoke about it yesterday. It was this healing that happened in Japan. So this was a time when psychic phenomena was like a big hot topic, and I was really interested in this kind of thing. And I'm pretty sure that this was authentic, that it wasn't a hoax. And I've had some thoughts, because I contemplated this in regard to the teachings, that I just wanted to get your feedback, yeah? So in the video, you're in a hospital room in Japan.
Me?
Well, the person who's viewing the video, yeah, we're like viewing a patient in a hospital room in Japan. And there are medical professionals there. There's a monitor which is attached to a camera, which has been placed inside the body of the patient. And there's 5 healers, I think, standing there with their hands kind of raised over the body. And they're chanting. And what you can see on this monitor, which is the recording that's coming through this video feed, or the camera feed, is the tumor inside this patient. And it's all black and white, but you can see it's a different color gray. And you're watching, as they're chanting and they're holding their hands over the patient, you're watching this tumor actually shrinking before your eyes until it's no longer detectable. And then at the very end, they ask, what is it that these Japanese healers were repeating again and again? And what they were chanting was, already done, already done, already done. So I was thinking about this, in terms of the teaching yesterday and what you had said about the moment you make the aspiration, then it's already completed on one level. And that all of these causes and conditions come together kind of like magic, because what we were observing in this video was like magic, right? To see this tumor heal within 20 minutes or so, it just disappeared.
Okay, maybe you can do it later. Is that okay? Yeah.
Hi, Rinpoche. You spoke about having a bird's eye view and remembering the sadness of life. I'm wondering if this idea relates to teachings on not abiding in extremes of samsara or nirvana, or not preferring one or the other.
Highest level. That is the real bird's eye view of bird's eye view. There's another bird then. Okay, we take lunch break.